That's the whole point. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Brothers Trippin Stuff, the podcast where three brothers in three states talk about whatever comes up. So I'm Aaron here in Kentucky. We got Andrew in Utah, Josh in New Mexico, and we are about to get stupid. So I did want to, we'll cover a little bit of the story behind, coming up with the name for the podcast, because it did change from the first one. And then we'll also be covering the season of Andor, get into that. I'm actually excited to hear what you guys think about that, because it wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be, but anyway, we'll get into that in a second. And then Josh definitely wanted to talk about, which I did too, actually, because I had just heard about that article about Scott Frost. So I definitely wanted to kind of get into that a little bit, and we'll see what happens. Before we get to kicking things off, though, today's a big day for Andrew and myself. We each have a daughter with a birthday today. They are 25. They were both born on the same day.
Yeah, you got to clarify. It's two different girls. Like, you made it sound like it was one girl that you both had. It was just weird.
Is that what it is? My bad. We each have a daughter, separate girls,
dads.
That are we're
split her in half.
Kieran's 25, Brooklyn's 25. Brooklyn is Andrew's daughter. Kieran is my daughter. Happy birthday to them. Just wanted to shout that out on the show today.
Did you ask Kieran what it feels like to be 25? I'm just curious.
Not yet. She's camping. She was out camping in the tornadoes 2 nights ago. So, yeah.
That sounds
crazy. Yes. But I don't think we expected it. Yeah, she's fine. She wasn't that close to, she was probably about as close to them as I was. But yeah, it got a little crazy here weather-wise 2 nights ago. So Kentucky's kind of trying to pull itself back together again.
Oh, wow.
Too?
So what's that?
Nothing. I'm just kidding. Move on.
Well, I asked Brooklyn, because 25. You guys remember when you turned 25?
Barely.
Yeah, I don't. I can't remember anything. But I just wanted to know how she felt about it, and it was like it was a big deal. It was a big deal to her.
Okay.
She's like, my 20s are halfway gone,
Right. I know, it's crazy.
But it just feels weird having a daughter that's a quarter of a century old.
Yeah.
I kind of passed that mark about 6 years ago when my boys were a quarter of a century old, and now they're
I get that.
So it's a little different for me, but
I have not felt like any age was old yet until, like, no number sounded old in my mind to me until this next one when I turned 46. Like, up to 45, it still sounds like a pretty young number, but like now that it's 46, it feels like it's like crested, and that's no longer a young sounding number.
Do you remember, have you heard the story of what Vanessa did to me? I had that same thing going on when she and I were married, and I was turning 36, and I was like totally fine. Number had never bothered me. And she I'm turning 36. I wake up that morning and Vanessa goes, so how does it feel to be closer to 40 than 30? And that was the first time anybody had ever done that. And I was like, oh, thanks a lot. So yeah, I know what you mean. Did it 10 years earlier than you're thinking, but yeah, same thing. So
I guess this is a 2-person show now.
Right. Well, while he's doing that, I'll go ahead and get this read in from our sponsors. So today's episode is sponsored by Helmet Nation, your source for officially licensed NFL and NCAA collectible football helmets. Whether into mini helmets for your office shelf, full-size display helmets for your fan cave, or even an authentic speed flex to rep your team the right way, Helmet Nation has it all. Every helmet is officially licensed, built for the diehard fan. So if you're repping Go Big Red, like Josh was just right there, Roll Tide, or Bleeding Mason Blue, Helmet Nation's got your team. Plus, you're supporting a better-known small business, which makes it even easier to justify the next helmet on your wish list. Visit helmetnation.com and level up your fan gear. So
this is one that we customized just for fun at the family reunion.
Yeah,
that I made.
I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Love that.
Kind of fun.
So it's dope.
Good job, Josh.
Thanks. Helmet Nation can do it all. You want it on a helmet, they can do it.
They can do it. Absolutely. All right. So Andor. Great. Anybody want to get us kicked off, or you guys want me to kind of throw out my thoughts and then go from there?
You take the lead on this, because I'm curious.
Right.
The clear Star Wars expert. Go for it.
I am definitely not an expert. You guys know way more about the show than I do and about the whole entire Star Wars universe, but I do love it and I like talking about it. So the thing is honestly, I was sitting there thinking about it as I was watching it, especially these last 2 weeks and the last 6 episodes. And I was watching it and I kept thinking to myself, what is it that I'm expecting to happen? Like, what am I waiting for? What am I hoping happens, etc. And then I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, if the series is leading us up to that point where Rogue One starts. You know, what am I expecting to happen to get us to that point where Rogue One is the next scene, like the next, you know, opening it up and you know, he's damn, what planet was he on? Was he on Coruscant when he met that guy, like right at the beginning of Rogue One? And that's right, Kafrine. Yes, and so you know, like I'm sitting there going, like, what am I expecting to happen? And so it didn't have as much pure action as I thought it might have in you know, season 2. But I did feel like the one part I liked about it was I felt like it had a lot of tension. It really, like, I was kind of riveted, like the entire scene after you know, Dedra Miro catches up with Luthen at the shop, and then he stabs himself and he's dying, and then her name starts with a K. Clea, when she goes into the hospital and pulls that stuff off, and then you're kind of getting that background because, like, you know, I had no idea about any of that. Like, that's where the Luthen Clea connection started, was when she was a child and there was some kind of action that he was a part of, or, you know, whatever, and how they, like, that was kind of fascinating because it gave me a reason to see her relationship with him differently a little bit, which then made what she did more emotional and more tense. You know, which I thought was pretty cool. But I did feel like it got us right to that spot. Like, it got us right to where Rogue One is starting ultimately. And I didn't know if it was going to do that. Like after episode 6, I didn't know if it was going to do it, but I felt like it did. And then the one thing I will say is, wow, did Dedra Miro get absolutely screwed by by the Empire or whatever. I mean, she's in jail. Like, that was so, wow. I didn't even know what to make of that, other than, like, you know, I guess that's what you get when you're serving the wrong side or something. I don't know. I was just like, wow, because she hadn't done anything but, like, be one-minded in finding this dude. She finds him and then she gets in trouble for it. You know, I'm just like, what is going on?
So there had to be a way to take her out of the story, right? Because she's in Rogue One, but yeah.
Well, I thought maybe she'd end up getting killed somehow in some kind of action, like her did, you know.
Yeah.
So
her weirdo boyfriend.
Yeah, her weirdo boyfriend. So anyway, your thoughts, guys. I definitely want to hear what you're thinking.
I enjoyed it overall. I thought it was super cool, and I thought it was but you're right. I thought there would be more action as well. There were a couple of things that I did not catch until I went and after I finished it, I went and watched Rogue One again.
Okay.
And the introduction of that, like, there are a couple of things that are a little bit wonky as far as timeline goes. Like what would have been Galen Erso's involvement prior to the start of Rogue One and prior to the ending of Andor. Like, he had to have been involved somehow. One thing that I heard somebody say, and I can't remember who it was postulating maybe that Clea was Andor's sister, or could be Andor's sister, that he was looking for the whole time. I mean, that's just like,
yeah, because they never finished that thread. They never
finished that thread. They also never, I'll tell you the part that I thought was bizarre and I did not understand, was the episode where Saw Gerrera and the kid that was the bomb maker,
they're huffing paint.
Like, I was like, what is this about? Like, that part didn't make a ton of sense to me. But a couple of the cool, like, connections to Rogue One that I didn't catch right away was, like, I couldn't remember who Tivik was. I forgot he's the guy at the beginning of Rogue One that Andor blasts.
Yeah.
And then also the scene where Saw Gerrera and all his, like, posse are looking down over that town, and there's the, like, polar bear looking guy. Those are all the people that are part of that battle that happens on Jeddah. And, like, you see the polar bear looking guy come in when they're trying to steal the Kyber crystals and load up the Kyber crystals. And I was like, oh, that's a super cool, like, the way that they kind of bridged that from Andor to Rogue One was cool. I feel like the transition of Han Mothma became kind of weird. Like, if you watch her in Andor, she's like, I mean, in Rogue One, she's like super homely and kind of weird looking. And then she's like this regal kind of senator in Andor. And she had a real quick fall there from grace as far as her.
She got taken from her home and her family, dude.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, like,
I don't know if they have a lot of makeup.
Resources for, like, makeup and hairdressing is just clearly not the same budget.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. They never really finished the storyline of the like prototype X-Wing that they stole.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of that?
Or you mean TIE Fighter? The prototype TIE Fighter?
Yeah, TIE Fighter, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
So
the early episodes in the second season, to me, didn't make much sense. It was almost like you could have accomplished everything you needed to do from the end of season 1 to the beginning of Rogue One with the last 6 episodes of season 2. Like the first 6, to me, almost don't make any sense in terms of like being story for that. You know what I mean? Like
well, it seemed like they were mostly about like tying up loose ends. Like you had to get rid of the Ty what's his bucket, who was the facilitator for Skolden. Why they were spying on Skolden, I don't really fully understand either. Like with the bug that she had to.
Oh yeah. No, you're right.
I guess it's just a way to like, I don't know, cause tension and also to show that they had their hands kind of in everything. They were kind of spying on everything. I don't know, but I mean, overall, I still really liked it. It's by far the best offshoot that they've done.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that,
Andrew.
So
yeah, mixed thoughts. I loved certain episodes, and then my favorite scene of the entire season 2, which doesn't match. In fact, I'd say it's a polar opposite of what my favorite scene was from season 1, which is
Luthen and what's his name outside the elevator.
Yes.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes. Yeah. The soliloquy, the monologue. It was phenomenal.
What have I given up?
Yeah. There wasn't that moment in season 2. I didn't feel like, but and that's fine. I think so. My favorite scene was actually when Dedra Meero was being held in that cell. She wasn't in prison. She was just sitting there in that cell. And then Director Krennic comes in, and that's when he accuses her of treason. And his character in that scene, for whatever reason, was just mesmerizing. It was like the way he treated her with such disdain and turned on her just like that.
Yes.
And her expression of being like, going from I'm the hero to I'm going to spend the rest of my life in jail.
Right.
For an organization I gave everything to. And it all happens within like 30, 45 seconds. And then he puts his finger on the top of her head, which was such a weird thing. But it was just like, and then he grabs her face. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't look her in the eye. He's looking away because I watched it a couple times. And he goes, we'll try to manage without you or something like that. And then throws her to the side. And she's just like, this color. I mean, she didn't have any color in her face anyway, but it's just like, it was so good. That scene was great.
Yeah.
That being said, I do not understand. I don't know if I'll ever really understand the thought process behind the first 3 to 6 episodes. I don't know. There's some things I understand. They wanted to create context with Bix's and Cassian's relationship, right? Like how much they were in love, and then it ties into the very last scene where he's now a dad, but he doesn't know it. He dies without knowing he's a dad.
Right.
It wasn't Cassian's show in season 2. He was almost an afterthought. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't really do anything. Think about his character. He steals an irrelevant TIE fighter. We don't know how that fits in. He just something to do.
Right.
He does it. We don't even know if they use it for what end. Nothing happens with Saw Gerrera. I was hoping they would do something with Saw Gerrera, or Saw Gerrera would do something with his like little cadre, whatever you want to call him, that would like super piss off the rebellion, because they hate him. They
right.
He's a militant, and they don't want anything to do with him. And I think that relationship could have been explored a lot more.
Yes.
Yeah. And that would have been really cool, because in the there's some cartoons where Saw Gerrera does some crazy stuff.
Oh man.
And then that
what cartoon is that one?
There's like 8 billion cartoons. I mean, if you look it up.
I mean, I've watched like most of the Bad Batch, and I've seen a fair amount of the Clone Wars. It's hard to like feel like a grown man and watch these cartoons.
It's tough. And now this is recorded for posterity, so my kids are going to know. My grandkids will know. I'm watching cartoons.
I watch it with Will, and so it's fun.
So did I watched with Will too.
Yeah.
I watched with the neighbor kid. It's creepy. So I thought Andor was like.
I think that's an interesting point, that he's not the main character of season 2.
No, all the other characters became the star. Clea became the star. She even overtook Luthen, which I thought was fascinating, because Luthen doesn't do anything in season 2 either. He does nothing, right, guys?
He's just the mastermind, and she's the one who executes it all.
Yeah.
Yes, but she's even. It's like her mentality, and I think that's why I did the flashbacks too, is to show how aware she was as such a young girl of her surroundings and street smart and all that. Right. And I honestly have a freaking crush on Clea after season 2. She is she is so bad at it. And I thought, man, if they did like a show of just off, what do they call that?
Like an
Spinoff,
offshoot or
spinoff of Clea, her character. Dude, I'd be all in.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know how they would do something like that with the timing of everything and whatever. But
it's unfortunate she wasn't somehow in Rogue One. Like to see her character somehow
for sure, dude. Seriously,
because she's still alive when we leave.
Yeah,
season 2, she's still there. She's in a place where she knows people don't like her either. Because of
right.
Well, I think she knows her days are numbered.
Well, she definitely feels like that, I think, but we don't know why. Like we don't know. Like, could she have stayed on and then become a part of what they were doing on Yavin 4? You know what I mean? Like we don't know.
Dude, she would have been absolutely invaluable as one of the leaders.
Yes.
Like, why didn't she go with him? What did she say? I can't remember. Why didn't she go with him?
With who?
Andor, because he was there with them when they got in that fight with the troopers. She like didn't leave, right? When Andor took off back to Yavin 4.
No, she did. She did. Yeah. He took her.
She got hurt by the sonic grenade or whatever.
He jumped on her.
He was knocked out
on her to save her.
And then they picked her up and carried her and took her to Yavin 4. She's recovering on Yavin.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay.
She got knocked out or whatever by the concussion grenade or whatever it was.
Yeah,
yeah.
I also thought K2SO was so needed in this series. He was phenomenal. Yeah. Just the personality of that droid. It's just like he was fantastic. And that sounds weird saying that about a droid, but like
no, and but you know what? It's unfortunate that his life simply couldn't have been longer, because talk about another spinoff that would have been fascinating is to see K2SO like droids, actually have a life, like actually do things and go through multiple battles or situations or something. That would have been cool. Because once they
maybe he fathered like an illegitimate droid.
He was great.
Maybe he fathered like an illegitimate droid. And it's going to be like K3SO or something.
Do you think there's a chance that Andor's kid ever plays a role in a Star Wars?
I think this little bubble
is done.
Because unless you get one of the writers from this series to do something new and do, maybe take one of those characters or whatever, it's just not going to be the same anyway, right? Like the tone. Anyway, my thought coming away trying to figure out why I do 6 episodes or whatever of content, at least the first 3 that seem irrelevant and to a large degree, was just to show overall, which I thought this was the theme of season 2, the incredible sacrifice it takes to stand up to something like the Empire.
Right.
And it cost so many people everything. Mon Mothma, the wedding she did she was forced to do the wedding to cover up the financial mistake, right?
Right.
That's the whole point of the wedding, although I thought it dragged on way too long. That baffled
too much of the ceremony. Yeah.
That baffled me.
Yes.
But it was unfortunate because and then she leaves her family. Like she leaves her whole family behind. I know she's not in love with her husband, but she still had to leave her.
He was kind of a dweeb.
Oh, he was a total douche, but like she was a senator. I mean, she left, she gave up all her power. She gave that speech. She could have been killed very easily.
Right. She would have been arrested for sure.
She would have been killed. She didn't know what was going on.
She'd been arrested.
And tortured. Yeah. But I thought it was a little unfortunate that Cassian took such a backseat in season 2. And I just thought there could have been some more action scenes of some kind of mission, some kind of plot, some kind of something. But it truly did become like an espionage series, really. Is right. Everything. When Clay went to basically finish off Luthen and make sure he couldn't squeal on him, did you guys think at first she was going to save him?
Wait, say that again?
Yeah,
when
I actually
was in the hospital.
Yes, asking that question.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yes.
You knew the whole time?
Oh yeah, she knew she had to prevent him from being questioned and tortured and questioned. Yeah.
Well, I agree. How does she know? What's that, Aaron?
I agree that she knew that. I just thought at first I was thinking she was going to be looking for a way to save him, to like
that's what I thought too.
Everybody and wheel him out on a gurney or something and take him and save him. It was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 steps before she actually went into the room with him that I realized she was going to kill him, like to make sure he was dead, because there was no way that she could actually get him out of the facility on a gurney or something. But when it first started, when she first showed up at the hospital and stuff, that I was thinking she was going to try a rescue versus just, saying goodbye, but once I got into it and realized, I was like, oh, yeah, she's got to go that route. Like she can't afford to have him alive, you know. So
would have had to have hidden him in like a space laundry bin that you could put.
right.
There wasn't one
like,
around.
like a hover bin.
A hover bin.
And then the other part of it was that the doctor or somebody,
obviously,
Luthen says to someone else, the only thing keeping him alive is the machine. Yeah. And I think that may have even been the trigger to me that said, "Oh, she's going to unhook him from the machine and be done." So
I really wish she would have taken off the mask and said, "I'm not dead yet."
I think I'll go for a walk.
You guys know what that's from, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Monty Python.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not dead yet.
Yes, you are. No, I'm not.
So
he's in bin. I'll just imitate.
Here's the last thing I'll say, guys. And it's super depressing, but I'm sorry, it has to be said.
Oh boy.
What the frick do we have to look forward to now in the Star Wars universe for the next 10 years?
They're making a Mandalorian Grogu movie.
Josh, do you know who's directing that movie?
It's probably Kathleen Kennedy herself.
It's Dave Filoni, the guy who makes all the cartoons and the one who did the Ahsoka series that was so bad.
Oh my goodness.
No.
It's not even being written or directed by the guy who came up with The Mandalorian.
Wow.
Jon Favreau.
Wow.
So I'm expecting nothing really out of that movie. I mean, am I going to catch the first midnight showing? Yes.
Will we spend our money on seeing it?
Am I going to watch it 7 times in the theater?
Yes, we will.
And then am I going to come on here and trash it? Probably.
Yes. We will expect to tear it apart here on the podcast. But
seriously, what adult writing, like what actual, like engaging, like top tier production is there going to be coming up next in Star Wars? There's nothing on the
They have to like almost create an entire new storyline or new like change like what like when things are happening. We have to escape all the characters that we've seen before and almost create a whole new world.
Well, so there are dozens and dozens of books that all go off into different timelines and different characters within the universe. I mean, dozens of them.
Okay.
So you could like start to follow some of those, but like the problem is, I think I haven't read a single one of them, but like the only people who are going to truly know those and probably embrace them the easiest are those few dedicated fans that have read a bunch of them. But like otherwise, it's hard to create memorable characters in this. I feel like they've got to come back somehow to the core, and most of those expanded universe won't. I don't think.
Yeah, I think if you get a good team in place, you can make almost anything.
Well, yeah,
really, engaging and interesting. I never really would have thought this premise of a prequel to Star Wars of stealing the Death Star plans would have sounded really all that enamoring. But in the end, I mean, most of it was phenomenal, right?
Right.
I mean, I'll still love season 1 more than season 2, but who cares? That's fine. Like that doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't have to trump season 1 necessarily, but I mean, I did like season 1 better. Sure. But I'll still love Rogue One probably more than any movie in Star Wars.
Rogue One's my favorite out of the movie.
Except maybe the original and Empire Strikes Back, honestly. Probably those two. But
yeah.
Anyway. No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll kind of agree. I don't know. I like all 3 of the original 3 best, and then it's Rogue One for me. But I did like Force Awakens. The Last Jedi made me want to drive a fork into both eyes. And then Rise of Skywalker, again, I thought was good. But I don't know. I just think there's got to be something different that is not, because they use the same theme over and over in the movie. It just sucks. Like there's got to be
attacking whatever the newest big weapon thing, planet-shaped weapon is.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've got to come up with a different end game to the storyline.
Yeah.
So that's why I almost think like you've got to almost create a whole new thing like this, like take whatever the last known current Star Wars, thing is, and then go 500 years past that. What's going on then? Like get way beyond. A
lot of the books explore the Old Republic, which is the origination of the Sith.
Right.
And there's a lot of Sith lords that they've never done anything with.
Okay. I mean, that you could do. I mean, that seems interesting.
Or have it be like parallel things that, because Palpatine wouldn't have just been dealing with this one line of rebellion, right? Like there would have been all sorts of Grand Moff Tarkins or Krennics throughout the universe, and so like you could just do similar chains. Like maybe you start to build up how these others were rebelling against Palpatine as well. I don't know. But I don't think, like, you can't go back to a line where it's like, even if you did 500 years later, what would the Empire, if it existed, like if it reemerged, what's it going to be doing? It's going to be rebuilding into something that can take over. That's been done 1,000,000,000 times, and that part's lame. You know what I mean? So,
but I mean, if you go 500 years beyond, maybe the difference is that you actually have, like, say, like a peaceful thing. So the good side has won out and there's peace and everything, but then there's growing, like, underbelly of, like the rebellion this time is actually like evil starting to spawn again. And maybe it's like, good guys going to try and find it or something. Um, I don't know if that's the case. The one thing I did want to mention, one thing that I had thought of, and I didn't get it tossed out soon enough. The one thing I did find fascinating was how everybody on both sides were nothing but paranoid about who knew what and why and whether or not they would say something. Like in the last 3 to 6 episodes of Andor, everybody's freaking paranoid. Didn't matter if it was Luthen or it was Clea or it was Andor or it was, Dedra and, Krennic, and everybody's freaking paranoid. It was wild. That was wild to me. Like, there's no trust with nobody, Anyway, so given that we've kind of tied up Andor, like, what other things are you guys watching right now? You guys got any movies or TV series you got an eye on? Anything that's coming that you want to see?
I was going to go see that movie Warfare, yesterday, but it's apparently like disappearing from theaters now, and it's going to be streaming on Apple Plus.
It's not. Like, you have to rent it.
It's like $20. Yeah, you got to rent it for $20.
Well,
I rented it and watched it.
You did?
Yeah, it's different than what I thought. Like, it wasn't like covering a mission to where there was like a successful end. It was like I don't know. I don't want to ruin it if you guys are going to see it. I mean,
yeah, don't ruin it, because I'm definitely going to watch it at some point, but I'm not going to pay $20 to rent it.
No, I was an idiot and did.
I really want to see it, but I'll just wait for a little while longer. But so you didn't like it that much?
Well, it was just very different than what I thought, and it's short and at least shorter than I expected. I mean, it's not a story like, I shouldn't say story. These were real men, and this really happened, and it was incredibly tragic. Incredibly tragic, but it was an incredibly difficult experience for those soldiers. But it's not like Lone Survivor, where there's this moment of like resolution and
right.
sort of triumph in the face of loss. It was, I mean, it was closer to like a Black Hawk Down type of story.
That's not a positive story.
I did see the Thunderbolts movie. You guys aren't Marvel people.
Yeah, I am. I like Marvel.
Did you watch it, Josh?
Yeah, we just went and saw it as a family like 2 days ago.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Well, I mean, dude, it's hard for me to get on board with them as dynamic and charismatic as the original Avengers.
Nobody ever will be. That's why they're bringing them back in the Avengers movies.
I don't know. Like,
I like the premise.
Loved it, and they like cried at parts of it. And
who did?
Heidi and Emma.
I really liked it. I really liked it a lot.
I was kind of torn. Yeah,
it was short. It was short.
Thankfully.
But I just, I don't know. I liked the overall premise of the show, and I thought they had good chemistry. I thought those characters had good chemistry with each other. It was pretty funny.
See, that's what everybody said leading up to it, and I just thought, oh man, this is like, it feels a little canned. Like, I was kind of used to that sort of humor already because of the other movies that they had been in together. But I mean, I like the overall sort of message, but it's also a pretty common one too, where
it's a little overplayed at this point. Yeah. But is anybody excited to see any of the new DC movies, like Superman, any of that stuff, or nobody cares?
There's more coming.
I'll see it once they come out on a streaming service, but I'm not going to pay to go see them. I mean, how many Supermans can you make?
Lots.
Lots. Evidently.
It's James Gunn. That's the only reason why I'm kind of excited to see it, is it's James Gunn, and he has a lot of original ideas.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll go see it in the theater, but I'll still probably watch it at some point.
I don't know what the Mission Impossible 17 is coming out.
Definitely want to see that. Those are
I watched the first one like a few years back, and I just am like,
Aaron, you took it though as like a serious spy like type movie.
Are you talking about the actual first Mission Impossible or the first half of this one that they're making?
Talking about no, Josh, you don't remember this conversation?
Mission Impossible.
He despised Mission Impossible 1.
I did.
Despised it.
Horrible. I thought it was so bad.
Did you ever watch the TV series?
No. I don't really have much of a frame of reference for that. Like, and it's funny because like I get the feeling after talking with Andrew that it's supposed to like, have you guys seen uh gosh dang it. It's the one with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, read something.
Read something. Yeah. That
The one
I
about
got the feeling that it was supposed to be kind of like adventurous, goofy like that. But
partially.
I like The Rock and Ryan Reynolds together. I think they're funny, you know. And then I thought that dang it, what's her name who plays Wonder Woman? She was a great
Gal
third.
Gadot.
Yeah, Gal Gadot. She was a great third in that movie
God.
in with those guys. And so I enjoyed that movie thoroughly. But I don't know. There's something about Tom Cruise where I can't watch him and see any kind of personality, you know, like he had
It's corny, dude.
he had a
It's a
couple of like
popcorn movie.
one-liners in Top Gun Maverick that I thought were decently funny. And that's literally the only time I've ever really seen him where I go, "Oh, that's makes me chuckle." You know, like that's it, you know.
They're just like a callback to your cheesy, not cheesy, but like your classic 80s kind of spy TV shows, and they've just kind of like overemphasized it a little bit more.
So if I was going to jump back into those, would you suggest that I like
They
just
get better.
go sequentially or just pick one and watch it?
You could
Don't
do
watch
way.
1, 2, or 3.
Don't watch any of the other 2 or 3. Don't watch those.
Well, you don't. They're the same vibe as 1, but then some new characters come in.
Yeah,
I think it's either actually 3 or 4, and then it starts. I think it becomes a little more tongue in cheek, kind of like we can poke fun at ourselves a little bit.
Okay.
It does take itself. It's a movie to showcase Tom Cruise's stunts.
Right.
That's really what it became, almost from the jump. And
Yeah.
it's almost like the making of those shows is as important to the production as the show, because you're constantly bombarded with these behind the scenes clips of Tom Cruise jumping out of something or running from something or swimming, away from something. And it's just like, dude, we get it. You like the adrenaline rush. You're very ballsy. You're doing your own stunts. You get hurt all the time. You've earned your $50 million paycheck. It's a little much at this point, but they're still super entertaining to me.
I think they're just pure entertainment. That's it.
It's just a popcorn.
Yes, and they're, I mean,
popcorn summer movie, dude.
Yeah, and I can handle like movies that are for pure entertainment because there's plenty out there. But like, I don't know,
It's
with
not
him,
like slow.
I keep thinking to myself, this dude is like 5'6". I'm like 4 inches taller than him. Like, what are we talking about right now? Like,
Dude,
I just
it's not Schindler's List.
Frodo is freaking rescuing people or something. Like, what are we doing right now?
You
Like,
can make out during Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Nobody will chastise.
Don't make out during Schindler's List.
It's not like Slow Horses or some like serious, like legit spy type show.
Gotcha.
It's corny. It's corny. But
maybe I'll have to just change my mind frame and go watch it. Watch like one of the movies with a different mindset.
How about this, dude? Okay, so the Ryan Reynolds movie, I think it's called 6 Underground.
Uh-huh.
It's just like that.
I love that one.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I love 6 Underground.
They're like the exact same.
I thought that was hysterical. That movie's funny, but Ryan Reynolds has a personality.
Yes. So in the other episodes of Mission Impossible, you've got like Simon Pegg, who's hilarious, and others
he's
who
funny.
like create that part. In like the roles are reversed, right? In 6 Underground, Ryan Reynolds is just there for humor, and the others are there for the action. In Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise is the action, and the others are there for humor.
Okay. All right.
And just the other sort of stuff. So yeah, it's no different.
I'll do that. Well, just to tie off this section, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to bring up one thing. Is anyone else disgusted like me that there's another Karate Kid movie coming out?
Yeah. Did you watch the rest of Cobra Kai?
No.
I didn't watch any of Cobra Kai, and I saw the next preview, and I'm like, oh, this is so bad.
I cannot tell if Cobra Kai is taking itself seriously or if it's intentionally like bad. Because there's parts of it that feel like it's trying to take itself seriously, and I couldn't stop watching it just for the pure like train wreck aspect of the acting and the premise. I mean, there is no actor with a stick up his butt more so than friggin' Daniel LaRusso. I almost said Tony LaRusso, but like
Tony LaRusso.
Tony LaRusso.
That's a good segue.
Oh my gosh! If you've ever seen how stiff he walks, like I cannot.
I can't do it, man.
I can't do it. It's so bad. But the guy who plays Johnny Lawrence, that dude's actually got some legit acting chops. He makes that go.
Yeah, he was pretty funny.
Anyway,
okay. I know we don't have much time left. Sorry, you guys could
doing okay. Let me do this second read here. We'll get this done real quick. So if do you need a custom football helmet? Helmet Nation doesn't just sell collectibles, they build them. So from youth leagues and high schools, small colleges, military units, first responders, Helmet Nation creates custom football helmets that are bold, detailed, and completely one of a kind. Whether it's for the locker room, the trophy case, or a company event, Helmet Nation delivers top quality custom builds using authentic mini and full-size helmets. Proudly veteran owned and run with military grade attention to detail, this is a team you trust when it has to look right. Start your custom order at helmetnation.com. Your team, your look, your helmet. So next we were going to get into, now Josh, you obviously read the article. Andrew, had you read the article that ESPN did on Scott Frost?
I have not. I'm trying to read it right now while you guys are talking.
Well, Josh, you definitely had some feelings on this. So I let's get started with your thoughts while Andy reads up on it. And
we do our homework here at Brothers Trippin.
Yes, we do. We do our homework.
Well, so really more than anything, it was mostly an interview, right? Where he's getting interviewed by ESPN. He's back at UCF as the head coach, which like I think he acknowledges now he never should have left.
Right.
If you listen to Damon Benning and Ravi Lula on Herd at Sports, Damon Benning kind of all along was the one guy who said this can only end bad. Almost. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but he believed that this would truly work. And it's actually interesting because I remember we had discussions about this, and you had expressed concern about this, Aaron, about how it's like he had the perfect setup there at UCF, no pressure, no prodigal son returning. He could just focus on football and developing those kids and the love of the game and his love of the game. He had his own world and he was making it his way. I mean, it was only natural that he would be called upon, right?
For sure.
He had a perfect season in 2 years, and there was no reason to think that wouldn't work in Nebraska for the the typical fan, and it just didn't, just backfired horribly. I wish that I was privy to more insider information, but there's been a lot that's come out that's either dropped from like the Herd at show where Damon will kind of hint at things that Scott Frost has said about trying to, he kind of made a couple of mistakes early on that were more focused on trying to win right away rather than truly building and developing a program that he wished he could take back. But anyway, I thought in this, the thing that was most interesting is that it feels like there's kind of hard feelings between him and Nebraska now. I know that a lot of fans just friggin' ran him out of town like crazy.
Yeah, they hate him.
I feel bad for the dude. The one thing that I kind of didn't love that he did in this article was that he starts out by saying he didn't, his goal is not to talk about that. He's not looking back. He doesn't want to focus on that. And then he goes on and focuses on it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so he goes on and starts dropping little statements here and there that kind of start to reveal his true feelings. It's like, well, I mean, in some ways I get that. How can you not have like frustrated feelings or bad feelings over how everything went down? I liked the guy. I mean, I had the biggest man crush on him when he came. He's just this like fit, young, energetic coach that still looked like he could play. You know what I mean? Like that I thought was awesome. And I thought that when he first had his, introductory news conference and everything, man, I was so freaking jazzed. I thought for sure that they were just going to be on their way back. And boy, none of that ever materialized. It's just a crappy situation. I mean, how many times is it that the prodigal son like that comes back and it's a truly successful experience? It's hard.
It is hard. I mean, I can give that. It was interesting because the day you texted about that, I had just finished listening to Ravi and Damon Benning, and they had a conversation about this article.
Yeah. And that's what made me think of it. I listened to that as well.
Oh, okay. What frustrates me, I think, to some degree about the conversation about Scott Frost, and for that matter, about any of the coaches between Callahan and Frost, is that it always seems like while the guy is the head coach, you don't hear anything. It's almost like they don't bring up, the media doesn't bring up anything that they know is going on back in Lincoln, and that maybe people in Lincoln know because while it's not a small town, it's a small enough place that like word's going to go. So if somebody's doing something, it's going to get around Lincoln quick. And it bugs me that we don't know what's going on until afterwards. And then it's almost like the guy is either fired or he leaves. And then all of a sudden it's like somebody just takes a garbage can full of manure and dumps it on him. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, where was this? Why didn't you say this stuff? And one of the things I've heard continuously since Frost was fired is that he was out with his buddies, like drinking and partying all the time. Like this is something I've heard from multiple guys, multiple media guys, and then they act like everybody should know that information. And it's like, you guys are the ones who got to tell us, like, especially those of us fans who aren't in the state. We don't get to catch the local gossip. We don't, because if he's drinking with buddies at a certain bar downtown all the time, then that's going to get known around Lincoln. That's just going to, people are just going to start talking about that, and they'll be like, you know what, Scott was at whatever the bar was, and stuff like that, and he was there again, and he was there again, and things like that. Or and I'm not saying they need to tell us like anything truly personal, but you could hint that the man's move to Nebraska caused problems in his marriage. That's all you have to say. That at least helps explain something, and how his focus might not be where it should be because he made this decision and now it's weighing on his marriage. Like, these are things that come out afterwards and they don't tell us before. And that kind of bugs me. That being said, I agreed with Ravi that day in that if you are going to be part of the problem, as Scott clearly was, I think at this point we can agree, and I don't dislike him, or anything like that, and I'm not trying to dump on him, but I agreed with Ravi's point in that with this article, that at no point in this article does he say, you know what, I made mistakes. Like, I contributed to this overall problem. Were there other things that were handed to me or that happened as well that also caused the problem? Sure. But he doesn't come outright and just say, you know what, I was in the situation. And Ravi used the example that I thought, it's one I've used before when I've talked to people, in that, Ravi said that he's been married twice. Was he a part of the problem in the first marriage collapsing? Yes. He was like, I was there. I was clearly a part of the problem, and so, like, whatever that is and how much of the problem he is, that's for each individual to determine, but you're there. Like, I can't say, having been divorced twice myself, that I didn't somehow play a role in that happening. Like, it would be false of me to say, oh, I was totally great. I didn't do a thing wrong in either marriage, and it's all them. That's a pretty egotistical statement to make. And so, to me, this is like, Scott in Nebraska is like a contentious divorce at this point. And it's like, I think he just needs to own up and say, hey, look, these are things that I didn't do right. And I'm going to try, like, what my goal is to have learned from that and now go back to UCF and try to be a better coach. That was my only big thing. And then the slight comment that he made that he's talking about being at UCF and everything else, and he loves coming into work, and he says it's just not the constant stress meat grinder of some other places. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? Nebraska's a meat grinder, And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, of course it is. Like, this is a fan base that even now, after 25 years of basic mediocrity, is still in the top 10 in all-time win percentage and all-time wins. It's fallen a few spots, but it's still there. You think you're going to take that job and it's not going to be some kind of a meat grinder? And then on top of that, don't even get me started on whether or not Nebraska is worse than, like, if you're at Texas or you're at Alabama, places like that, like, that's a meat grinder. Like, that is legit. People are off crazy type fans. So I don't put Nebraska on that level. So if you're going to talk about a meat grinder, like, yeah, it's going to be a tough job, but is it Alabama? No.
When you listen to those press conferences, and those reporters are not asking tough questions.
They throw softballs all the time. They ask questions that have the answer in them.
Yes. Every time. How important was blah, blah, blah? You're assuming it was important.
Right.
It drives me nuts. It's like, you guys journalists, they all went to journalism school. What kind of a question is that? Yeah. But the other thing is that, like, to sort of like validate your point there, he was the freaking quarterback. He was the quarterback of a national title team, and he faced scrutiny when he came back from Stanford. Right. You can't tell me he didn't know going into it that it wasn't going to be an insane meat grinder. Of course he did.
Yeah.
If he didn't, then that's just like, that's on him. That's naive.
Yep.
But I don't know. I still like the guy. I hope he has success. I'm glad for where we are now, that they're making progress, and it feels like Rule is really building a program to last and to. I love listening to Rule. I started getting tired of listening to Frost in his press conferences, constantly talking about how it's going to pop, blah blah blah. Do
you guys think if Frost had the record so far that Rule has had, how would we be looking at Frost's tenure coming back, or like being at Nebraska? Like, would we be growing impatient? What
is he, one game under 500 right now? Because we were 5-7 the first year, and then 7-6. right? So we're at what, 12 and 13?
He's 12 and 13.
Okay.
So
I mean, I think if we had seen the progress, if we had seen measurable progress like that, it's not the progress we wanted or thought should have been there. But I think Frost, we would have been giving him the leeway to keep building, just like we are with Rule.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it fit, like that type of environment fits Frost's personality.
Agreed.
What type of environment?
Now that we know.
Yeah, now that we know. The fishbowl environment.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
He like can't, it's I don't know. Part of me wonders, like when you face adversity like that, or you're just under the microscope like that, some people like dig into it. They face it head on, they dig into it, they figure out, how am I going to go? It's almost like he just did an about face and just went, whoop, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm going to cover it up and mask it with lots of maladaptive behaviors, apparently.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
It makes sense.
It clearly does not fit his personality. It did not fit his personality at all. And I think there's something to the peer pressure thing. I do.
Oh,
and
to him
himself
taking the job because of peer pressure, for sure.
No, I think there's a part of it. I think it's an aspect, right? But you have to be a grown man and own it.
Right.
But at the same time, he did say, I want to go compete for national championships, and I can't do that here.
Right.
At UCF.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I'm with you, Josh. I hope he has success.
Yeah.
He's now going to be in the Big 12. I mean, dude, Big 12 is just like, who knows what's going to happen from year to year in the Big 12.
If you put Nebraska in the Big 12 right now, I would pick them to be in the championship game right now. I truly believe they're that good, and that the Big 10 is that much better as a conference than the Big 12.
Well, yeah. I mean, they took like Conference USA or something, didn't they?
What's that?
Didn't the Big 12
they took a lot of
half of Conference USA or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, Aaron. I agree with that assessment. I think for that reason alone, UCF has as good a chance as anybody to find themselves in the championship game within the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, for heaven's sakes, all the top 3 or 4 teams that were picked last year in the Big 12 finished in the very bottom.
Bottom, yeah.
Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas.
Kansas
crapped the bed. Yeah. I mean, so nobody has a clue how the Big 12 is going to do.
No.
I think from year to year, depending on the portal and maybe just kind of if somebody happens to find lightning in a bottle, you could have like a BYU who's supposed to be now like this in 2025, even better than they were last year. And they should have been in the championship game.
Yeah. They didn't they choke against SMU late? Wasn't that who
they choked against Kansas?
That
was the game I was at. They choked against SMU, I think.
Yeah, they lost to SMU for sure.
They beat Oklahoma State on a last second.
Did they lose? Or did they beat SMU?
They lost a couple games in the end that they should have won. Like they should have beat Kansas at home for crying out loud.
Yeah, at home. Yeah.
But they also got lucky beating Oklahoma State late in the season. Like that game was crazy. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about BYU. I don't care about BYU. I don't care what they do. My point is just it could be anybody, right? So sure, Frost might have a good second tenure there.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, Josh. Everything you said about when he came back, it just felt like, holy crap, like I had new life, like we all did.
Mm-hmm.
We all had this like renewed hope of like,
I ate it.
We're gonna be relevant again.
Yeah,
we're gonna be relevant again.
Absolutely, I ate it.
I mean, look at Harbaugh. Harbaugh took what 5 years?
Yeah, he took a while. It took him a while to build that.
But there was even then, like I know they wanted to fire him like 2 years before, but I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
but good luck.
I will say this.
SMU, by the way, so we don't get called out by all our listeners.
What's that?
They did what?
BYU beat SMU 18-15.
Okay.
Who else did they lose to late in the season?
Arizona State and Kansas.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 they lost. Yeah.
I knew they'd only lost twice, but I will say this, and so while we're discussing the Nebraska head football coach, I'm with you, Josh. I love Rule. Like right now, I truly believe this team should win 10 games. As crazy as the schedule is, what we've heard and everything else, I believe this team should win 10 games. I believe they can, win obviously 9 games. If the team does 1 game better for me, and this is just me talking, I like him so much and I believe so much in what he's doing because I truly believe he understands what it's going to take to actually keep and develop and keep Nebraska winning. If they simply win 1 more than last year, if they go 8-5, I'm in. Like I'm still in. Like I have no issues with letting him just continue to notch it up because like you just pointed out with Harbaugh, there were people who wanted him fired, but they just kept giving him time and he just kept doing his thing. And I truly, truly believe that what we're seeing with Rule is going to get there. It might be harder because Nebraska, like you're literally having to teach a program that hadn't figured out how to win. Like last year's Wisconsin game was huge, and then we keep talking about other simple things. Like if special teams is merely average, if we're average on special teams, we win at least one more game in the year. Like, because we should have beat Iowa and we should have beat Illinois. We almost lost to Rutgers because of special teams and we managed to overcome that. But, so they just need to keep moving one step at a time. Do I think they can take a bigger step this year? Yeah, I do. I actually think this team and I think the defense is going to be, different. I think we had giant roadblocks on defense these last couple of years with Hutmacher and Robinson. We had guys that could just eat up the middle. I don't know that we're going to have those guys, but I do think we're going to have guys that are so athletic that we can start to do some crazy things with them. So we may give up a drive, like we may give up 50, 60 yards on a drive and then all of a sudden get a sack fumble, kind of thing, because we're going to have guys who can come off the edge or we can do multiple things with. We can use them in TE stunts and or nose tackle, three technique, stunts, things like that. I mean, I just think we're going to be really athletic and it's weird to me that we haven't heard more about like the Dason McCullough kid, because like that kid, he's got legit track, like in terms of producing stats at Oklahoma in the SEC, and the Big 12 obviously for a year. But I mean, he's a tackling machine. The guy has like gotten tons of tackles over the 2 years. I don't know why we're not hearing more about him, and so I'm excited. Everything I see out of Raiola looks good. The kid looks more fit. Like right now, they were talking about his weight and everything, and he looks more fit. I think his confidence is going to keep going through the roof. And I actually love the fact that so many people are sort of overlooking him when they talk about quarterbacks right now. I think that's going to light a fire under that kid, because they keep talking about Lagway. They talk about Lenora Sellers at South Carolina. I mean, I hear all these other names, and I'm like, so you just ignoring Dylan Raiola, huh? Like I think that's going to just light a fire under him. So I'm excited. And I'm expecting a 10-win season, frankly. Like, I don't know who the two losses are. Probably, I don't know. They'll be weird. Maybe Penn. I actually would not be shocked, because Nebraska, even when they've been bad, has been able to go into Happy Valley and win some games, which is weird. So, like, I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Penn State but lose to, I don't know, who else? I don't know, Michigan. Although I'm excited about the Michigan game, too. They ain't going to have their head coach for that game. And clearly, I would, if I was a Nebraska player and he chose not to coach against me because, what you think you're just gonna, you don't have to be there and you'll still be good enough to win that game. I would use that as bulletin board material all day, every day. So I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know where the losses are going to come from, but I truly believe this is a 9-10 win team. And even if we just get to 8, I'm fine. I'm still excited about the trajectory. So that's just me. Wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think that's great. So we're going to the Michigan State game, right? I can't remember where we're sitting. Tell all our fans in case they want to come say hi.
Oh yeah, we are sitting in. Here we go. So we are section 24, row 44, seats 21 to 23.
Oh, is that end zone?
No, it's not totally end zone. I think we're at about the 20-yard line on that side, 20, 25, somewhere in there. Nice. But I think it'll be pretty sweet seats, better than the ones we've had, like that have been, end zone up high. So I think that'll be solid. So yeah, Michigan State, and this, hence the Brothers Trippin Podcast name. That's going to be our trip this year. So we'll have to decide on if we want to do the 4-day or 3-day weekend drive, but that's going to be fun. It'll be a good drive. If not, go ahead and give us a follow. Helmet Nation's on Instagram, Facebook, other places. So check out Helmet Nation. Give us a follow, and then find us on YouTube here with the podcast. And then Helmet Nation's got more videos coming. We're going to be doing some unboxings, and we've got some videos of helmets being put together, so you can kind of see the inside process as to how that works. So like the video, and we'll catch you on the next episode, guys.
And subscribe down below or something.
Yes, subscribe.
Like an actual.
Ask any comments you want to ask, stuff like that. We'll get better at this as we go, I promise.
Maybe. I don't want to face that kind of pressure.